Hello, I'll be explaining هالدرس بسرعة عشان يطلع الفيديو 20 دقيقة بس اللي هو this chapters the first chapter start it covers the basic things مثل mean median mode أشياء ثانية how to read graphs what type of variables you have in a statistics course or when you analyze data or whatever. So قبل لا you jump into it you need to know the basics مثل mean و median. So we have two fancy words we've heard a lot, which is mean and median. Mean basically is the average. Median is basically what is in the middle. What's the value in the middle of the set. So أول واحد we know what mean is. Mean is the average. So you add all the variables that are present divided by the number of variables we have. So مثلا if you have a class وسووا امتحان واحد جاب 70 وواحد جاب 75 وواحد جاب 80. What's the class average? You add هذا plus هذا plus هذا. So it's going to be ما أعرف كم 70 plus 75 plus 80 كله over 3. Then we have 3 values over here. Okay, 3 variables. So we're going to get an answer of 75. So this is the class average or the mean average of the test scores اللي في الكلاس. I'm pretty sure you guys saw sigma هالأشياء before. So sigma basically means the summation of all the x's divided by the number of integers we have or the number of values we have. Another thing we took is the median. Median basically is another word for the middle value of the set. طبعا when they give you a set of numbers مثلا هالset اللي هني let's imagine it's scrambled يعني عطوك 80 and then they give you 75 and then they give you 70. The first thing you do is arrange the set. So when you want to find the median, the first step is always arranging the values in increasing order. So you want to arrange it from 70 75 80 80 and then from that you can easily find the median. So the first thing you want to check if do you have odd number of values or even number of values, and how many values do you have? Are they odd or are they even? If it's an odd number of values مثلا we have 3 values only, we can do basically this equation, or in other words this equation basically tells us this is the middle value of the x's, so it's probably going to be 75. So x, which is at which x number, so n, which is 3 values, so n 3 plus 1 كل over 2. ليش؟ لأن 3 again we have 3 values, so n basically means the number of values we have. Okay, so 3 plus 1 over 2 بيطلع 4 over 2 which is 2. So x at 2 هذا x1 هذا x2 هذا x3. So x2 is 75. So this is the median value that we got from the set. إذا كان الset an even number, you're gonna have مثلا 2 values في النص. Which one to pick? You're gonna take the average of these 2 numbers. You can do that if the set is قدامكم. Like it's easier to do that. Like what's 5 plus 4? 9 divided by 2, which is 4.5. You can easily do that, okay? Or you can do this. You're gonna take, this is the general equation. Half times x over n. هني كلنا كم values عنا? We have 8 values of x's. So 8 over 2, which is بيطلع x at position 4 هذا, plus x at position 5 هذا, which is 4 plus 5. يعني هني شوفوا n over 2, which is again 8 over 2 plus 1. So it's 5. فبيطلع لكم half times 4 plus 5, which again is the average of the 2 values, which is 4.5. This is the first thing we covered in the class. The second thing is something called variability. Variability is such a big word for wide أشياء that falls under it. Variability باختصار يقولك how spread the data is. يعني you can have مثلا a data that's really يعني this is a wrong scheme. So مثلا you can have a data that ranges from really big numbers مثلا from مثلا 10,000 or whatever till 0. You can have مثلا values that only مثلا go from 10 till 15. So it basically is another word how dispersed is the number we have in this data set. So they ask you what is the variability, they're probably gonna give you something to calculate the variability in, and a few types of variability. So I'm just talking about how dispersed or what's the difference. So that's another word for range مثلا. So range basically is the highest value minus the lowest value. This gives you an idea about the dispersion of or the difference between أكبر value عندك وأقل value عندك. Another thing is IQR. هذا we covered it in class, which is interquartile range. This is another word to, let's see, this is another word basically to have it in percentages, okay? So يعني مثلا you have a range of data, okay? مثلا from 0 لين 100, okay? هني what they do is they try to see the spread of data in 3 different places, okay? So they're gonna have مثلا quartile 1, شو اسمه quartile 1, quartile 3, وفي بعد quartile 2, بس I'll talk about it later. Quartile 1 basically talks about the first 25% of the data. This is the first 25%. This is quartile 1. The last 25% of the data, which is 75% and above, هذا اسمه quartile 3. Okay, so if we add 25 plus 25 is 50. So اللي بقى داخل هذا كله is 50. This is 50%. In the middle هني هذا exactly, this is the mean. This is another symbol for mean. Okay, this is the mean or the average. So the average value is 50. ليش؟ لأن you know like you can calculate it, you'll get the average is 50. شو بين 0 و 100 50 اللي هو. So this is basically talking about the range between 0 and 1, or 0 and the first quartile is between 0 and 25% of it, and the quartile 3 which is 75% لين up to 100%. So in other words بعد في شيء اسمه percentile. I think you guys have seen this word before. So the 25th percentile is at the 25th% range هني, which is الكلمة اللي أنا ما أعرف كيف أقولها, quartile 1. Okay, so it's the range between the first quartile 1 and the third blah blah blah. So we know الحين what quartile is. We need to know what the IQR is. So the IQR basically is the difference between the 75% and the 25%, which is quartile 3 minus quartile 1. ليش؟ لأنه يعطيك شو the IQR. هذا هو IQR. okay, so مثلا قالوا لك أعطوك سؤال, خلينا نكمل هالشرح. okay, so yeah, بعدين I'll explain this later. فمثلا they gave you a set of numbers, قالوا لكم find the IQR of her, or مثلا قالوا لكم find the range. This is like the least they could ask. قالوا لكم what is the variability of the data set use the range مثلا to find the variability of this data set. مثلا يقولوا لكم what you're gonna do is you're gonna take this number, then this is the highest number minus the lowest number. This is the range. Range is equal to 18 minus 2, which is 16. So this is the range or the variability of the set using the range. الحين قال لكم find the variability specifically using the IQR. Okay? So أول شيء شو بتسوون when you're gonna get a data set, رتبوه كامل from the least to the highest, so in increasing order. بعدين تشوفوا is it an odd number of numbers or an even number of numbers in like the set. Is it like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So the 7 is an odd number. Okay. الحين ليش نبغى نعرف the odd ولا even؟ لأن نحن شو قلنا؟ نحن هني فوق كنا قاعدين نقول نبغى نشوف اللي في النص, صح؟ اللي في النص شو كان؟ هذا this is another word for median, صح ولا لا؟ فنحن الحين نبغى نشوف الميديان لأن that's the first thing you want to do. ونبغى نعرف وين في النص بالضبط. So قلنا it's an odd number. You can use the normal equation, which is basically the number exactly في النص. We have كلنا شو 7. So x at position 7 plus 1 over 2, which is x at number 8. 8 over 2. 8 over 2, which is x at position 4. X at position 4 how 1, 2, 3, 4, which is 10. عرفنا وين our median is. So we determined الحين the median. What you do الحين is to find the IQR is you're gonna separate هالset. شوفوا هالset اللي هني. You're gonna separate. حصلت الحين the middle. الحين you're gonna separate it to the set below 10 و a set above 10. Don't include 10 الحين في الموضوع. Okay? So what you're gonna do is الحين again find the median of the lower set. Sorry. Oh wait, خوفتكم. Of the lower set and of the higher set. You can like visually see it, or you can use this equation again. So the median of this set is 5, the median of this set is 14. This basically tells you in a Q1, هذا كله Q1, okay, is at 5. Q3 is 14. قلنا IQR is عبارة عن شو؟ Q3 minus Q1. So you're going to do 14 minus 5, which is equal to 9. الحين بعد في شيء اسمه outliers. I'm pretty sure you guys heard outliers before. Basically they're values that don't make sense in the data set. يعني مثلا example الدكتور, we have a class مثلا 20 students. The class average height is 165. Not too much. 160. Okay, قولوا this is the class average. بس نحن في الكلاس عندنا واحد ولا وحدة طولها 200 سنتيمتر. This value could يعني يلعب في الأرقام شوي when you're trying to find the average. لأنه يمكن يقولك إنه الكلاس كامل مثلا طوله 170. بس in reality it's just one number that caused the set to fluctuate into a higher number. Which gives you a wrong idea about what you're trying to find. فنحن sometimes we want to eliminate outliers. أنا ما له داعي like why are you there في النهاية. في طبعا there's another way they deal with it, but this is just to eliminate it from the set. So في lower outlier or lower bound outlier or upper bound outlier, which basically means أرقام أقل عن المفروض. مثلا عنا قلنا شو الأفرج 160. أوكي, عنا واحد في الكلاس طوله 200. عنا وحدة في الكلاس I sounded sexist. They or them they're 200 centimeters. The other person is like مثلا they're a dwarf يعني 95 centimeters, let's say. Okay, a lower bound basically means below average, below the range اللي نحن we are expecting. So مثلا this is a lower bound outlier. An outlier أقل عن المطلوب. An outlier أكثر ولا فوق الطبيعي is مثلا 200, which is an upper bound outlier. Okay, so there's a number or there's an equation. نحن already حسبنا Q1 صح؟ already حسبنا Q3. We have the IQR لأن سوينا Q3 minus Q1. Okay, you can just plug it. بيطلع لكم الحين outliers مثلا مني. Okay, نكمل السؤال. Plug the numbers. We have Q1, we have Q3, we have the IQR حسبناه it's 9 times هالرقم negative 8.5. أي شيء أقل عن negative 8.5 المفروض ما يكون في الست. نحن we don't have anything below negative 8.5. أقل شيء كان عنا is 2. So we do not have a lower bound outlier. upper bound outlier طلع لنا 27.5. نحن في الست ما عنا أي شيء أكثر عن 27.5. For the most is 18, which is not an outlier. There are no outliers in this set. Okay. Another way we calculate variance, قلنا the first way is the range. Second way is IQR. The third way is variance. Variance هذا الحين بتشوفونه وايد. This is a general equation لازم تحفظونه. There is no مهرب من الموضوع. Okay. We have standard deviation. Into we're gonna get variance. Variance is basically S squared. This is what we denote variance. Okay. It's basically, I don't know how to expand this, but I'll find another question to expand it for you. Basically each number, okay, مثلا at each x value there's a value المهم minus the mean. This is the mean, mu. This is the mean over n minus 1, the number of values you have in this set minus 1. So this is how you find the variance. I'll explain this later لأن like there are لازم تحلون أسئلة عليهم. If you get the variance, you can get the standard deviation من variance. Okay. So what you do is قلنا نحن standard deviation is basically S. وهذا is S squared. How do you go from S squared to S? You just square root the S squared, which is S itself. So the square root of the variance is the standard deviation. another thing بعد لازم تعرفونها في الدرس هذا is what type of variables we have. ففي نوعين، في يا يكون أرقام يا يكون حروف من اسمه. numerical numbers numbers or categorical المهم. so they're categories. okay. numerical أرقام. فعنا discrete. when we say discrete يعني شيء a whole number، لا نص لا ربع لا شيء. صفر قصدي 1 2 3 4 5 هذا a whole number. okay. continuous يعني في decimals عادي، ما في decimals it's fine. 0.3 0.54 pi is a continuous number. فأي شيء في decimals or أي شيء في that is not a whole number falls under the category of continuous. okay. the other type of variable is هالvariable اللي ما أعرف كيف أقول اسمه. في عنا ordinal and nominal. ordinal من اسمه في order في الموضوع. there is something better or greater than the other. so مثلا عنا في الجامعة freshmen sophomores juniors seniors. freshmen أول شيء، بعدين what's better than freshmen is sophomores. not better but like higher in في level. alright. there is order في الموضوع. and then you become a junior and then you become a senior. okay. there is an order في الموضوع. nominal there is no order. there is nothing better than the other. so مثلا male and female، هل انت تحطين female أول أو هل انت تحطين female ثاني؟ ما يخص. there is no order between male and female. they both are equal. so these are the type of values you can get. بعد في types of graph you're gonna see. في شيء اسمه scatter plot. it's basically a scatter of numerical values that you're gonna get. okay. so when I say numerical data, okay, it's data that are شو numbers. so مثلا عنا the cotton percentages and the strength. these are numbers على y axis so these are numbers على x axis. so these are numerical data. نفس الشيء هني histograms basically they're a fancy name. أنا مع كيف يعني أقول they're a fancy name of bar graphs. okay. so الhistogram بعد are numerical data. they fall under the numerical data. by the way you guys need to remember when do you use histograms, when do you use scatter plot. تذكروا إن scatter plot و histogram مثلا they're numerical data. الحين بتشوفون the other type of data اللي قلنا عنه اللي هو categorical data في different graphs. فمتى بعد we use histograms it can show you symmetry or skewness. skewness basically is another fancy word of الميلان. هل هو يميل على اليمين هل هو يميل على اليسار. هو المفروض هالجراف يكون شكله شي المفروض يكون exactly symmetrical. this is an exactly symmetrical graph. okay. يعني هو بيكون في boxes blah blah blah. كنت بقول I'm not the best at drawing بس الحين I'm not the best. المهم فيكون there is a symmetry between the numerical data we get. ويكون at the same time we can find the mean and the median at the center. لأن شو it's exactly a symmetrical graph. بس إذا كان في skewness في الموضوع يعني عنا ميلان يا يمين يا يسار هم يعني you can say it's skewed more to the right. when I say it's skewed more to the right يعني في more data on the right. when you say it's skewed to the left يعني في ميلان في الداتا into the left side. like there's more data values to the left side. so هني you can see مثلا ها هو الجراف. okay. so this is not symmetrical أول شيء. بعدين بعد one thing you can get is the high frequency the mods. هني we have a high frequency هني مثلا وهني you can see where the value or the repetitive number of data sets are present. مثلا at 3.2 we have common شو اسمه like you get it. I don't want to get into details. you're not going to use histograms to find the median of quartiles and you cannot like يلا طلع لي median من هذا. it's okay it's good for like exactly symmetrical graphs but when it comes to non-symmetrical graphs that have skewness it's not that good to find medians. okay. وfrom medians تذكرون كيف كنا نحسب medians إنه تذكرون كيف كنا نحسب quartiles إنه we'd find the median but then we'd find the median again مني we'd find the median again مني صح. if you can't find أساساً the first median what makes you think you're gonna go to the quartiles. it doesn't make sense. okay. نفس الشيء again قلنا نحن في skewing في الموضوع بس it's not very obvious. يعني مرات يكون في شوي مني ولا شوي منك. You cannot visually see it. You cannot visually completely trust what you're seeing. You need to see a proper data set أول شيء. Okay, نفس الشيء extreme values. You can't determine it from this graph. Another numerical data set type of graph is the box and whisker. إذا تتذكرون تكلمنا عن شيء اسمه outliers, which are values that are not supposed to be in a set of numbers. مثلا هني قلنا شو عنا lower bound values, which is basically are outliers أقل عن the set. مثلا the set يبدأ مثلا from I don't know say 1.1 مني لين 2.4 مني. Okay, so these values are less than 1.1, which are lower bound outliers, which fall under the lower whisker. The lower whisker basically is another fancy word حق هالشي اللي حسبناه فوق مني, which is the lower bound outlier and the upper bound outlier. حسبنا رقم صح؟ هالرقم هو وين ترسمون الخط مال الويسكر, the box and whisker. Alright, the box and the whiskers اللي هني. Okay, so قلنا عنا outliers that can fall قبل the set, lower than the set. في upper bound outliers. so مثلا هالفاليو عنا بعد قلنا من البوكس, ما قلنا من الاوتلايرز لان احنا نعرف الاوتلايرز حسبنا كيف من the medians ومن the quartiles, صح ولا لا؟ في البوكس and whisker في النص بالضبط مني بيعطوكم الميديان. the Q1 is this value, Q3 is this value. You guys can figure it out. الحين بعد شو قلنا these three are numerical datas. so إذا قالوا لكم مثلا we're gonna do an experiment blah 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 blah. We collected numerical data. What type of graph is suitable to express this data? عندكم 3 options. You guys can figure it out which one is better. عندكم the scatter, the histogram and the box and whisker. Okay, أعطوكم categorical plot. Okay, this is the third one. Categorical data قصدي. The type of plot you can do it is a bar plot. Okay, a bar plot basically has a category تحت with values. هذا اللي تحت مثلا these are the genes or the base pairs. Okay, so عنا CC, CT و TT or يالي زهايمر فجأة. المهم the bases يعني. there's a category. Okay, and انتو logically looking at it هذا مو بأحسن عن هذا ولا أحسن عن هذا. They all are equal. So this is a nominal type of categorical variable. Nominal لأن لا هذا أحسن عن هذا ولا ها أحسن عن ها ولا ها أحسن عن هذا. لأن if in the question they said oh people who carry the TT have a higher advantage than the people who carry CT and CEC. Okay, هني حطوا ordinal لأن there is advantage, there is order, there is say في الموضوع. بس هني لأن they said nothing in the question, so we assume all of them are equal. ما في واحد أحسن عن الثاني. To express these values in a graph you use bar plots. Bar plots هني it's عندكم the variables تحت. Okay, with their corresponding values. You basically graph them بعدين.